Heroes rise, heroes fall. I see 'em on the front line, standing tall. They're risking life and limb to answer the call. But what they fighting for? Don't know, don't care. Just along for the ride, but everyone must in. I'ma make sure I'm gonna win inside.
Welcome to the podcast, the live stream bonus question and answer podcast of the Dungeon Dads Network. Yeah. Oops, wait, I've got to move. Darn it, I got to move your windows. See what happens, Tom? You screwed it all up. There we go. Oh, and it's still messed up. Well, here we go. This is. I don't know how to fix this in OBS while we're doing this, so it's gonna be what it's. Sam is breaching the lines of the grid. Yeah, it really is. It really is. Oh man, hold on a second, guys. They can only hear me. Ooh, hold on. Let me see. Let me do this. Okay, hold on. That's a good thing that I was playing host. Let me see here. Let's do. Oh wait. Hold on.
We should just give him the the Zoom link. You can hear me. Oh, I love it.
All right, and now they should be able to hear everybody. Give
Hello.
me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear all of us.
Testing.
And me too.
Can you hear John Watson? John Watson, ladies and gentlemen.
Just give it a second. We're on a slight delay. But if they can
Okay.
hear Tom, they can hear everybody. Yeah,
Yeah, they can hear me.
Hey.
All right, sorry guys, we haven't played with this software since the last time we did a live stream. When we were like 25. So, but anyway, as I was saying,
25 episodes.
welcome. As always, I am Tim, and I'm joined here by John Watson, Iona Seelhavind, Sam playing Schnobik, or who played Schnobik, and who is breaking the lines of the grid, and Tom, our infamous dungeon master.
How's it going, everybody? So this is our sort of live final episode of Every War Must End, and so we wanted to go ahead and answer some of the questions that you might have. I think John and Tim are monitoring the YouTube questions. Sam is on the Reddit Live and LinkedIn simulcast, and I'm monitoring our live feed from Pravda, and so you can throw some questions there. But I think we should just go straight into these questions that I have, if that's all right, fellas.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hit me. Listen,
So-
I prepared for this episode by not reading any questions, so I
have
could
also
be in the
not
moment.
read any questions. So.
Okay, great.
All right.
So unfortunately, a lot of these questions are for me, but
Yeah,
because a lot of
unfortunately
it
for
is
the
like,
audience.
well, it's a lot of it is like, end of the season, end of the era, like people asking about like how we put
What
together,
could
how
have happened? What might have
Yeah.
gone this way? What might have gone that way? What was the story behind so and so?
Yeah, so let's start with Tar Badger. Asked what were Tom's original plans for Abel and how much did the story pivot from his original vision. So I'm gonna just throw this over to you, Sam, because it's your character, not mine. I think that he's asking about some of the like large, like the secrets, and I think we may have
Yeah.
talked about this a while back, but yeah, you
Well,
go ahead.
There are a couple of tricks you can pull to make it seem like you've been planning something for a long time, even though you haven't.
Yeah.
So like very early on, we were like, oh, he's got a secret. We don't know what that secret is yet. And then like 15 episodes in, we're like, oh, I bet the secret has something to do with like X, Y, and Z. And he was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. It should be. And then 10 episodes later, we're like, So what if that's like just the first part of the secret, and then there's an extra part of the secret that's sort of like this,
That's-
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And and then you get to the end of all of that, and it feels like you've been planning this stuff from the beginning and like paying it off, when a lot of it was just sort of leaving a placeholder there for, story to be determined later, which one works for me because I don't want to know stuff too far in advance, you know. But also, it leaves us flexibility. I mean, all
Yeah.
of the storytelling that we're doing can turn on a dime at any moment. And so I think we're both hesitant to lock anything in too early when there might be a better choice that presents itself later on.
Yeah.
But we knew we wanted Abel in that kind of position,
Yeah.
which was
So
something we had planned from the start.
and I think that in the very beginning, I sort of thought Abel was going to be the glue between
You
between
fool.
well, between Ionis and Filnir, partially because I remember I was on a vacation and Sam called me and he was like, I got this idea for my character. You see, his archetype is old man. I was like, okay, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but like I'm sure we'll, get it, fleshed out a little bit. And then I got like full on backstories written by John and Tim for their characters. And I was like, okay, I don't know how these two people are gonna fit together. But I think this old man might be the key for it. The first secret that I came up with for Abel was like the secret of charneled weapons and like how magical items are made. And it at first it was a little bit like at first it was a little uh flavor only. Uh, but I knew that they were in a plane that was an item outside of the Gilbrain for the very beginning. So that was like, oh God, what if this plane that they're in is exactly this thing that Abel has figured out, that that he has the secret of it, and that it's super old and it's been a little bit on repeat. So that was my secret that I had for Abel, but I only told Sam about the how charnel weapons are made, and then I said, and you have to, you just make it up, like you tell me, like, but here's the thing, like it takes a soul and there's a whole ritual and you can come up with the ritual. And so that was the sort of early days. And then by middle of season 2, I knew who Filnir was for sure. Like I knew like most of what came out in the campaign, and I knew the things that I wanted Abel to know at that point. And Sam, I can't remember like how much of that I told you. Not a lot of it, I think. I think we were sort of saving it for in action just in case things changed.
Yeah. Well, and it, allows Abel to serve as sort of a storytelling. He becomes then a convenient avenue to convey some of this stuff if necessary. And it sort of makes his position in the group a little different because he's kind of the only one who knows things.
Yeah.
But we had to
Yeah.
figure out what the things were to know first.
Yeah. John, how about something from Facebook?
Something from Facebook. You said that everything had to do with you, so I'm going to pivot and have something that is for all of us.
Good.
So, Anthony Greenstein.
Oh, what's up,
Anthony.
One of our
Greenstein!
favorites. What's up, Greenstein?
We gotta get Anthony on
Very
Patreon
early
so you can
listener.
get some of
Very
these.
early.
That's
things.
right.
Yeah.
And he actually writes, for everyone, was there a time that you thought a TPK would happen? When or why not?
Yeah.
It's a two-parter question. I haven't
Mhm.
asked you the second part yet.
Ooh.
Oh, well, I've got a real obvious answer, which I think might be shared by other people in the group. Basement of the tower, man, when it was on fire.
Yeah.
And the paladin was wrecking our shit. Yeah, that was I was like, oh, we might not get out of here. Yeah. We're just like doing healing words to pop people back up,
Right.
so and then they just go down again. And yeah, that was the most on a knife edge I ever felt about TPK.
Yeah, she was pretty rough.
Yeah,
Mine was a different paladin. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, because I think also when you get to later levels, you have so many contingencies and so many hit points and so many, you have more tools in your tool belt. It's those early levels where things get really dicey.
Yeah. I agree. And mine was Walter Faust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When we started fighting Walter Faust, we had already had a number of battles.
Like at
And
the
we
end
were-
of season 1.
Yeah, end of season 1, we had already did the Battle of the Briar, and then you guys ran off and fought somebody fought some undead in the woods, and then Ionis had just fought this wizard and this bard in the woods, and then we come back together and we're like, let's just go right up on the paladin, let's just do it. and then he shows up and then Paraso takes over 2 of his guards, and they just start attacking. And I'm like, oh no, Ionis can't do this.
I
Like,
remember that. You ran.
I ran so fast.
So
I ran
much.
so fast.
The best use of expeditious retreat we saw all campaign, probably.
Yeah.
But I was like, we are going down hard. Like, they were attacking Filnir, and they were just chopping him in half. And then Abel was tough, but went down a lot. So
Yeah.
I was like, if these 2 go down, it's over. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ionis can't do a damn thing. But yeah, I thought that was going to happen, but we were able to pull out of that one. I don't know. What about you, Tim?
What about you, Tim?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know. There were definitely some moments near the end that felt like we were walking into danger. I don't know. Walter Faust was probably the earliest one. I got to agree with you. I think, when we do like one battle after another and then don't get a chance to stop and properly recuperate before we're pushed to our limits again, those ones just feel just kind of brutal.
Yeah.
So-
And it's like Sam was saying, such low level.
I mean, listen, I had a genuine fear for my character in like episode 4 when
Yeah.
like, that heat metal came on, or whichever episode it was. I was like, and I was still pretty new to concentration, which is why it played the way it played. I was like freaking out. I'm like, there's nothing that I can do. I mean, clearly what I should have been doing was pelting the guy who was concentrating and breaking the concentration. But, I was too new to know it at that point. So it was like, was like looking for any sort of loophole to get out of it. Although I think at that point we were still under your safety blanket, so to speak, Tom.
Yeah. I think I told you 5th level I was
Yeah.
going to be, at least a little bit protecting you. Yeah. I mean, for me, and you end up dispatching these people pretty quickly and surprisingly, but it was the archers that were 600 feet away from you
Oh,
on
yes.
Robert's gift,
Oh, yes.
because they had poison, they had all those things, and like
And there's no reason for them to stop shooting.
and they're just going to keep
Right.
shooting at you, a wide open field. I think Ionis ended up doing, I think it was like 7th level. You were 7th level, and I think Ionis like ended up doing a dimension door or something like that, and a fireball. Like, I mean, it was like
No, that and there were
something-
some
I did a-
super crazy rolls in that episode.
yeah,
I did a sleet storm to block vision.
Yes.
that's right.
And
And then I
That's
was
right.
I used the lucky feet a few times when this guy was attacking me. I was like, lucky feet, you miss.
I was still kind of like, I want to give you that, but I don't think you saw those guys enough to know, like, rules is intended. It's sort of hard to be like, this guy's 600 feet away from you, and you're like, ooh, like, like, I'm gonna give you bad luck right now. This person who is a dot.
Well, it was the lucky feet was for the guy, the invisible guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Isn't
yeah,
that
that's right.
Quiet Dark too? Yeah.
Yeah,
he
that's
was
right.
trying to hit me, and I was just like, I was just inexplicably lucky. He
But
just
does
kept
lucky
missing.
work with someone you can't see? I can't remember. I remember
Yeah,
thinking,
you're just lucky, Tom.
You're-
You're just
yeah.
lucky.
It was just luck. Like, he missed because I was just lucky.
You're
That's how
not
it
like
works.
inflicting the luck on him.
Yeah.
you're
Just a
getting
lucky
luck.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just, okay.
The
Okay.
universe,
The
the
epitome
universe.
of luck right there.
Yes.
Well, I also think it's interesting though. I mean, obviously there are a lot of things you can do, Tom, to keep us from TPKing potentially, but I also think we all understand that part of what makes this interesting is that there's this element of randomness and chance, and things
Yeah.
happen not necessarily when they're narratively supposed to, right?
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
at the most dramatic moment, or at the most in the most satisfying way, and that's part of what makes it interesting.
I tuned that encounter up too high, and I tuned up the monks too high.
Mm,
I think I actually pulled some punches, like the pun intended, when you were fighting uh Karateka's
mhm,
uh the monks then,
On Robert's Gift, yeah.
and Robert's Gift again, and they were supposed to get 5 attacks, and I think their first round they
Good
all
Lord.
got 5 attacks, and they were able to stun, and I think poor Tim, I think got stunned in that first round, and it was like, oh, they could just do this all day long, and it's 5 attacks. And I think during that combat, I think that's the only time in the whole campaign that I had something set up beforehand, and I felt like it was keyed up too high, and I just took it down. I took it down to 3 attacks. And yeah. Anyway, that was also a near TPK, even though to listeners, I don't think it felt like that. To me, I was like,
mhm,
oh, this is gonna kill them, like for sure.
Right.
So,
What else we
John,
got?
what's the second part of that question, John? Was there something else?
There was a
Second
two-parter.
part of that question, I think you might have answered it a little bit, but it was for you, Tom. What would you have done if there was a TPK?
Oh, we would have just. I think
Started the
world
Goblin
was
Market.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I think the world was rich, and I think we were all still wanting to explore the world of the Gilbrain more. I think we may have had a second campaign in the Gilbrain. Um,
Yeah.
I think something like that. Filnir would have, let's see, at the point where my TPK would have happened, Filnir, I already knew was just going to pop up again.
Mhm.
And so, unfortunately, Tim would not have been allowed to make a new character, but
Mhm.
these
You
other
say
two guys would have
unfortunately,
been
and I
out.
say sweet.
You silly, yeah, awesome, yeah. So that would have been, campaign number 2. Um, yeah, would have been Filnir and 2 other dudes. I don't know.
That's
Uh,
wild. That's wild.
so let's see here.
That would
I
have
have
been
something.
very interesting.
Yeah, it would have been kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It may have been Schnobik, but it may have happened in Hark City or Adair.
Well, John would have gotten Schnobik then.
Well, I was going to say that does lead into another question from John Gravina. He says, who were John and Tim's backup characters if Ionis and Filnir had been hit with the disintegrate spell instead of Abel?
Well, I'll start. His name was Filnir.
Mhm.
He is a Hexblade warlock who lost his master. Maybe his own fault, maybe not. He doesn't really remember. And there's a lot he doesn't remember.
Just popped up and brand new. What's happening?
Yeah.
I love it. And yeah, Sam totally stole my idea, and I was going to do Schnobik. And
Yeah.
but Sam was the one that got hit with the disintegrate spell, and so he decided to do
Well,
Schnobik.
and I will say at the time, I didn't know that John was sort of thinking of that as like a backup character when I stole it. But it does make sense. Although then we wouldn't have gotten all the fun like brother interaction, which was 80% of the fun of playing that character.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say was Sam getting Schnobik is probably the best thing that could have happened to Schnobik.
Right.
Like you played the hell out of that character. I'm just
Thank you,
saying.
Yeah.
No problem. Seriously, I was like,
I mean,
like you said,
of course
with
I did.
So John N. in the YouTube chat just asked Sam, "Who was your backup character?"
If Schnobik, that's a good question. I think I might have tried to convince Tom to let me take Bezlith Luatal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
Do you think that would have worked, Tom?
Sam, I actually offered it to you. if you don't remember.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I actually offered it, and Sam is the one who was like, I don't want to have all that extra information because
hmm
Bezalith had a whole other thing that she was up to that we
all
actually
the elf stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I mean we got to it a little bit, but it didn't end up being quite as central as it could have been.
Mm.
But Sam didn't
I mean,
want
you would have had a hook there because her, clan is wiped out,
yep.
and she comes back to take revenge or find out what happened or whatever, and then gets roped into everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, part of what made Schnobik so appealing is I think the hardest thing to replicate in the group is the interactions and the history with each other
Right.
that the characters develop. And so that's what made Schnobik the obvious choice, is like, okay, we already have an established relationship that then is something that we can play.
Yeah.
Which
Could
would
have
have been
been
harder
Florin.
with anything else.
I,
Yeah.
I think someone could have been Florin, and there would have been a little bit of that. But again, I sort of knew Florin's parents were killed by Filnir or by
Mhm.
the last
By
time.
the duo of Ionis and Filnir.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I would have come out a lot sooner. And there was a lot of little things like that I was like, oh, and then this, and then this. It's like, oh God, it's it's a lot of hours of campaign, but not enough for all of
Right.
these little side stories.
Yeah.
Um, Taylor, is it Haybear or Herbert? I think it's Herbert.
It's Herbert.
It's Herbert. I went
Haybear.
to school with that guy.
You
But I was like, is it Herbert or
You know
Haybear?
the goddamn answer.
Metaphysically.
Hiking the trail.
Now he doesn't say this is for me, so I'm gonna throw it to somebody else. I think
Okay.
I'm gonna throw it just to the three of you. Metaphysically, can someone explain what happened at the end of season 1?
Fuck no.
What power or powers made the tree? Who was Paraso serving, and who was controlling the ghosts? Seems like the undead army in the final battle at Lakeshire might have been connected. If so, why were they fighting against Ehi?
I can answer that one.
Yeah, you can.
Taylor, you are in the same boat as me and Tim and Sam. The end of that first season and the beginning of the second season, we were like, what the fuck? We still have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I
okay.
mean, we have our theory. I will say I very purposefully tried not to think too hard about it because I kind of like, embracing the mystery
Yeah.
as a
Mhm.
character, But yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the whole. This is the metaphysical flood, right? The
Yeah.
metaphysical, metaphorical flood to go with the physical liquid flood. But then what they showed up, they were fighting against Ehi. Oh, is he talking about the undead with
The
like the
undead.
bone,
Yeah.
the bone lord?
Yeah.
I assume that seemed like a very different manifestation.
I thought he was talking about the
some
ghosts.
different undead. Yeah, the ghosts at the end of season 1 were different from the undead at the
Yes.
end of the season 4.
Yeah. The ghosts at the end of season 1 were all ghosts sort of owned by, controlled by the Gill Brain through Ehi. And then, those the tree the tree was certainly a part of the love between the Nodus and Ehi. Like that was the first, I guess that was before you went to the mountain
Mhm.
and saw the temple inside the mountain. So that was like sort of leading you there. And I mean I can tell you what I wanted that to be, that it didn't end up like making it, but that was Ehi's way of calling Donatus to her because she thought he was still there and she hadn't heard from him. And so, but that was the mystery, I think, was more interesting than like, the rationale of gods or whatever. So, let's see here. Oh, let's see here. Rimnar the Magnificent asks about the how the story evolved and at what point did we know that the Gilbring existed with an eternal weapon? We talked about that a little bit already. But then when did we decide that Filnir was 3,000 years old?
That's
How
a
come we never saw Filnir turn into a demon like in his memory? Um,
Are you
I
sure it's
mean,
not Rimnar the Magnificent?
I think it might be the Magnificent.
He's one of our patrons, by the way, for those
Yeah.
looking on the
Yeah.
YouTube chat or whatever to try to find him. But thank you for being a patron and supporter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I think there was always a tell in the memories that they may not have been real, or that. I mean, if he's been there for 3,000 years, there's certain things that have happened that have changed that he's done, as Ehai told us at the end. Like, I had had her realm in my hands multiple times before and not given it to her. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something like 7 times or something that she had asked for it, and I'd basically just refused. So I'm presuming that, maybe that could have happened. Maybe I could have turned into a demon, and it just didn't happen in this campaign.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's for sure. For sure. I mean, and I think, uh, 3,000 years is a lot of time. And especially it's a lot of time for someone who continuously becomes a super powerful warlock. There's a lot of shit a warlock can do. And I think um the manifestation of a demon, like that's a true polymorph. I did not think that Filnir was controlled by a demon. Now, I'm not positive that he was a half elf. Like, I'm not positive that he wasn't necessarily like the original, the OG,
Mm.
the OF. That he may have been, he may be a demon.
Um, that reminded me of a thread that I don't know that we ever resolved, which was the demon in the control room
Yeah,
Mm.
through the door,
you could have gone in there.
the ascension door.
Yeah, you never went to him.
Yeah, it
You
was
walked
dark in
backwards.
there,
Yeah, you walked backwards. I wrote a
and
little puzzle.
we had more pressing issues.
Yeah, and you never went back there. Yeah, for sure. Um, that was another person put there by Phil Neer. I when you walked in there, I was like, maybe this is Phil Neer. Maybe that's the real Phil Neer.
Ooh.
Mm.
That was my original thought. But like, if you don't go talk to the guy, it's not a story. It doesn't.
Right.
It's
It
not.
It almost
That's not the
doesn't matter,
story. That's
right?
not the
Yeah.
story. Then.
Mhm.
I mean, that was what I was
It's
prepared for.
not canon, not canon.
Yeah, that's right. I was prepared for that guy to be Phil Neer.
Mhm.
And to have been piloting Phil Neer.
Mm.
The half elf.
Mhm.
Because I was already preparing for the Goblin Market, and I knew that
You wanted to
mechanic
have people piloting people.
that mechanic was going to be playing out. He was in a safe room inside this, like, the center of the world kind of thing.
Good grief.
Is there other stuff from Facebook, John?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we've now gotten to this question from Kevin Malberg. What do you envision your characters doing in the future after it all ends? And I think we should get both characters from Sam.
I'm gonna throw in with this something from Todd's story, which relates to this, and it is will Ionis ever return to Monterre to reclaim the throne? And if so, what are the implications for MCM? I think those are together.
Yep, those are together. Absolutely.
I don't think we should spoil too much of MCM though, because there are people who potentially haven't heard that campaign yet.
That's right.
Obviously, I think we've mentioned it a few times in the main feed, but
MCM is Mountain City Mayhem. It's the Patreon campaign.
The premium campaign.
Yes.
Sam
And-
calls
and-
the
and-
premium campaign,
And based in Monterre,
Yes.
the mountain city.
the home of Ionis. Yeah.
Right.
I do keep threatening John that Ionis is going to show up in MCM and I'm going to get to play him. But I'm not sure if I'm that mean.
Do it.
You
I
are.
think-
Because I will say, and I think we talked about this before, I do think in terms of like identifying with our characters or like the characters being a piece of us. I mean, I think we're all pretty attached to our characters, but John has a special place in his heart for Ionis.
That is true.
I mean, listen, the way we play these characters is so different just as players, right? Like we talked
Mhm.
about this, but John had the idea of Ionis, had a level progression built. Like he went through all of that, like before the campaign had started.
Before it
Like we did
started.
character
Yeah.
creation, and he knew who Ionis would be if he hit level 20.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
he knew what
Well, he knew
spells
what spell,
and
yeah,
abilities
But
you
he
were
was
at.
going to build the character that way
Yeah,
on the character
yeah.
sheet.
But
I have to
but
say, and he stuck
RP
to
wise, it's different.
he stuck to it though. Like I just could never. I could never stick to something that I did at level 1. I mean,
That's why I don't do
'cause-
that much prep.
yeah. I mean, for me, half the fun is like, ooh, what about this? And oh, what about that? Yeah.
Well, I would feel differently with a different kind of character, but with a wizard, especially if his whole MO is that he loves books and loves finding new books, I was going to make sure that if we ran into other wizards that I was going to grab those spell books.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter as much what spells I would choose because I would get a shitload of other spells
Yeah.
that I could work with later. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I had an idea of what I wanted to work with, but, if I found out later that I was wrong about certain spells, I could just lean into the RP and be like, I grabbed that book. What's in that book, dude? And then you would, did I find this spell in that book? And you're like, yeah. I'm like,
Skywrite.
sweet.
Skywrite.
Now I've got that spell.
There's 8
Water-
copies of Skywrite.
like one of them was water breathing. You were like, do you have water breathing yet? I was like, I have a book.
Yeah.
You were like, you see water breathing in the book. I'm
Right.
like, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think Filnir and Ionis probably have the most complicated answers to this question,
Yeah.
probably.
right?
So we'll start with you, Sam.
I think Abel is, I mean, we already know what he did, after
Right.
for the next 3,000 years, or whatever. But yeah, I do think that was pretty fun to get into with Tom and just play him as sort of a different character and try to think about how things would be different if you'd been living in a world that you have this much control over for that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of my pet peeves, and not that we like delved into this like super deep, but I always hate it when you have like a character on a show or something, and a vampire or something who's supposed to be 500 years old, and they don't put any thought into how would that change
Right.
how a person is.
Mm-hmm,
You
Because-
know?
Because they'll put on they'll do this thing where they have
They're like,
extra
yeah,
experience.
500 years old and still into 17-year-olds.
Yeah, like they have new experiences that they
Yeah.
have new memories. But like, if you're the kind of person who lives 1,000 years,
Mhm.
you're not a person anymore.
Yeah.
Like there's something,
something
that has
else.
fundamentally changed in your brain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think and I really like where Schnobik ended up. I was really happy with the resolution we got for that character. And I think he's, probably needs some therapy that he's not going to get. But trying to sort of start over and be the better person that he couldn't figure out a way to be in the Gilbrain.
Where did he go?
Through the door.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, that one's gonna kill me for the rest of my life, I think.
Yeah.
But where did he go, man?
But where is it?
Where is it?
Yeah, I think he walked right into Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, right.
Was
3.
immediately shanked by a hobo. No, that would be pretty sad.
That would be terrible.
What's Filnir gonna do? Like, what's the god of the realm gonna do?
I mean, I think he's always wanted the realm to be at peace. So, I think he would, to the extent that he can, kind of, try to set things up where the people and the different, sort of forces living there have reason to sort of cool it down. Almost, I don't know, maybe
Just
It's gonna
like
sound weird.
Agador the Scales.
put it
That's
back.
what-
Yeah.
I mean,
Put it back into,
Kinda.
not necessarily like a Cold War, because now those kingdoms are, essentially gone and defunct, right? I mean, yeah, I think he would try to find a way to make people sort of, provide them the resources that they'd be happy with, to not feel like they have to go, conquer someone else to go get what they have. Or
he wouldn't support Ionis to go on a mission of conquest to bring all of the
I mean,
kingdoms under heel.
he certainly, Ionis would be bending his ear, I think, if that's, if that's what Ionis wanted. But I think he'd play diplomatic and, remind him that this is, their realm to shape for sort of however long they have, hold
They've
on
got
it.
time.
Yeah, till the next
Mhm.
Filnir shows up and
Mhm.
unthrones us, right?
Yeah.
And then we figure out where we're trapped, and if we feel like we need to escape, and the whole thing circles all the way around,
Does
Um,
Ionis care about his mom anymore?
Ooh.
Like, I wonder about that. Like,
I mean, I know Filnir would be checking on his sister and,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and making sure they're good. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Ionis cares. Ionis still cares about his mom. He still cares about his family. It's just he's just viewing things very differently. He would definitely find Mr. Percy and Galwinia, and he would apologize to Mr. Percy for everything, and try to solidify their relationship. Give them, copious amounts of money from his little super bank room.
I mean,
And
you're the creator. You can just make him a patch of land,
villa.
and a villa. Yeah,
Just
You know, come on. I mean, you guys have looked at what happens when the Fed makes money.
Mhm.
Like, everything has consequences. And if I'm still the DM for that place, I'm telling you, it's going to be inflation through the roof.
Probably so. They'll try to figure out a way to they'll figure out a way to fix that. But yes, he will try to make amends with Mr. Percy. He will go and get his aunt from Adair
Mm.
and take her back to Monterre. And talk to his uncle and say, look, if it's true love, I'll give her back. If she can't live without you, then it'll be made painfully obvious, and then we'll work something out. But right now, she was given to you as a slave, so she's coming back home.
Yeah.
And then yeah, he will go back to Monterre, and he will try to at least bring it under heel. But I think, in my mind, Ionis will go to Hark, Adair, and Monterre and take those for the Gilbrain, and say and then set up a democratic ruling council in each city, and then create a simulacrum of himself that runs each city.
Bonus 1, bonus 2.
Yeah.
And then just just the person who's kind of in the background calling the shots, or keeping an eye on everything and making sure that things are running smoothly. But it's like he's like Filnir now. It's just we just want peace. The thing is that you don't get peace unless there is someone or a group of people working really hard to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is going to be his lot in life.
Yeah.
He's just going to maintain the peace by taking everything.
So Liquid R asks how I keep all the plot points in order. And he gives me some options. OneNote, Google Drive, scraps of paper on a corkboard with red string, stacks of tightly scribbled composition notebooks. So I mean,
And if you haven't seen Tom's handwriting, it is
it's is sort of so I do use
That's
Notability.
a security protocol.
yeah.
I do use Notability,
He should
and
have
I
been
write
a
everything by
physician.
hand. And then what I do is when we're about to start a new story arc, and these guys don't always know that we're starting a new story arc, I actually write up what I think is going to happen, and I bring in connections from the past. And then if we hit like 2 or 3 story arcs and something from my notes doesn't make it into that little like overview that I have that I keep running, then that basically didn't happen. And so that's one of the reasons why I have to keep asking John what the hell his mom's name is, because I never put Sheandolin in there. And it's one of the reasons why Tim is like, wait, who was the other? I had 3 other sisters, because they never came up again,
Right.
And so I didn't keep them, and I didn't hold them as tightly as I should have, probably. So yeah, so I use handwritten notes and Notability, and then I occasionally share my long like screeds with the guys on with Sam and John and Tim through the Notes app and Apple. That's it. That's the whole thing. Then we have another one
Wait,
here.
they don't want to know about my meticulous note taking for MCF?
No, you don't take. Sam doesn't take any notes.
I actually use the notes function in
Notes,
Roll20
baby.
fairly regularly. And back when we were doing the we had that transcribing app for a little while. We were using Otter. It was actually really handy because you could do like a word search, and it would tell you what time code in what episode that part
could go
showed
back
up,
and look
and
at
you
the
could go
thing.
back and listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of work.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also we have a lot of made up words.
Yeah.
we
Right.
do.
Right.
We do.
Yeah.
Although Otter AI is getting better and better at like identifying them and like, and then spelling them the same every time someone
Right.
different
It
says
just
them.
goes
It's
like,
like,
this is a word that you use, whether it means anything or not.
that's right. That's right.
Yuck.
Turkey F says, how much did you have planned that didn't happen because the party never went in that direction? After the Goblin Market, Turkey,
He learned his lesson.
I stopped doing that shit.
Yeah.
So there were 3 or 4 other things. There was characters that I rolled up entirely that like they just ignored, like a guy in the bar, that they didn't talk to after I like described him. I'm like, listen, guys, I described him. So there must be something to
Therefore,
it.
he's an NPC,
Yeah, therefore.
not just
Yeah.
set dressing.
Still a set. But
Well, maybe still a set works for the Goblin Market,
yeah. So not a whole lot after that, actually. And if you're a DM already, like the lesson that I didn't really have, which is, you don't have to know what's in the chest in every room that no one goes into. You just need to know there's a chest that someday they're going to open, and here's what's inside of it. And if they don't go to the room you think has it, then you can put it someplace else. Like when you're doing a narrative like we're doing, like we're not making, like we're not making a campaign like Wizards of the Coast puts out. And they're like, in this room with a DC 27, like, a sleight of hand skill check.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is there. Like if you miss it, you miss it there. And that's kind of fun. That's part of the fun of that kind of campaign, but that's not what I'm making.
Yeah, I think also like part of what's appealing to that for people is it makes it feel like the world has sort of an external reality independent of what the characters are doing. But I think for the kind of storytelling we do, it ends up working better every time someone opens a chest. You just ask yourself, what's the most interesting thing that could be in that chest?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
And you treat it as almost like an improv story prompt. and then roll from there. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's
Or-
because the world having any sort of like external consistency to it is less important than having an interesting story moment right there.
Or it can be procedurally generated,
Well,
and
yeah.
and you could just be like, I don't know, I'm gonna give you a roll.
Because sometimes the random stuff ends up being more interesting than what you might have been able to come up with on the fly.
Right.
Any other really good ones about Every War Must End, John? Because I do have 3 about Goblin Market that I think. I
Well,
was
let's not
gonna-
get to
You're
that
gonna
yet.
hit 1,
Hold
2,
on.
3.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
couple in the YouTube chat.
Okay. All right.
Somebody you guys might know, Akshay. Oh yeah.
Amen is there. Akshay's listening, and so is Beth. But I bet this is all Amen. This is
assume-
Amen's question. Amen, I love you, man. I love you, buddy.
What was your favorite moment of the whole campaign? It's kind of a big question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I know the answer, and I've been staring at this
I-
question for
I
several
got
minutes
2
now.
real easy answers.
All right, let's go to Sam then.
The most emotional I got throughout the whole campaign was definitely Abel's last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Abel's death episode was something else. Like I don't know if I'll ever have another gaming experience that was like that or storytelling experience like that. It was just on another level. The most pure glee I ever got from a moment in the game was when Schnobik turned Jesus of the Orc Wars into his vampire thrall. That was just because I had planned it for so many episodes. I mean, not so many, but like 2 or 3 episodes, put the plan into action. And, you know, it sort of walks that line of like, you know, I hate it when people are like, yeah, my character's a bad guy, so he'd like steal stuff out of the other characters' backpacks. You know, having characters working at cross purposes that way can get just really annoying and counterproductive. But it was a situation where it was like, ooh, I kind of got to like surprise Tim and John too in a way that was really fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mean fucked up? I was like,
No, you
That-
have to go. I have it. I have it here.
so terrible. Ugh, that was so good. It was like, you guys ever
maybe
watched The Good Place?
episode where I did all those
Yes.
salad puns. Yeah.
You guys ever watched The Good Place
Of
where
course.
Jason Mendoza's like, you just throw a Molotov cocktail, then you have a different problem.
That's
how I felt. I just turned the bad guy into a vampire. Now we have a different problem. It's like, Jesus. Of the Orc Wars.
Eggs of the Orc Wars.
Of the Orc Wars. What was your favorite moment, Tim?
Ooh.
What's your favorite 4th level or lower spell?
Fourth. I mean, you know, this campaign took us in places that, you know, kind of like Sam, there were just like moments in the storytelling where you're just like, I didn't know that would go there. I think going through the whole memory of Edgar, like there was a lot of real emotion in that I didn't think that, you know, one that I would ever have to tap into or, you know, sort of would be able to tap into in that, you know, in that space. And obviously I think, you know, high praise to you guys because we've now been playing this together for so long where I feel like this is a safe space to do that, even though we're putting this out for everybody to listen to, right? It doesn't, you know, you sort of forget about that in the moment. Like, you know, just like, all right, we're going to take it here.
Yeah.
You know, there was, I'm sure there's another one. I mean, that's just from like a player point of view, as opposed to like a story point of view. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was like that one smite where I just like blew somebody up. That was really, really fun too. You know what I mean? Like just
when the
likes those
planning
big
pays
numbers,
off.
baby.
yeah. Where exactly you're just like, okay, you shoot him, you crit, you just go, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna smite him, and then just like dead. You know,
Yeah.
and it's not like a nothing level 2, you know, goat or something. It's you know, it's like a big monster that could be a big threat, and you just like the dice just go your way, and it's just so satisfying.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen that much.
I mean, John, I want yours too, but I just was thinking about I was thinking about the moment when when Fielder's like, tell us something about Ionis. And then Percy goes in and like delivers that like
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
yes.
heart-wrenching,
Oh man.
you know,
Mm.
none of that was planned. But
No, that
to
was
me,
so good.
to me, in the realm of like planning for a long time and having it pay off in the
Mhm.
moment,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is about me and you guys. This
Right.
is not, I don't even know
Mhm.
if it like played well on the radio.
Yeah, we don't
Or
get
not.
feedback aside from comments, so we have
Yeah.
no idea.
But like when I had you all read those poems and
Mm-hmm.
then I edited the audio with the so
Mhm.
that the center of the world like messages were being received
Yeah.
and like echoing back in, and to me it worked, and I could not believe that it worked. And because I could see your faces when I was rolling it out, and you were all still kind of like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And it took extra time. You had to like, I sent you the text to read, and you had to, record it outside of when we normally play. And then like you all were so happy. And I think you were happy because I was happy, but I don't care. Like I was like, oh, this thing happened. Anyway, so that was probably my moment, which had nothing to do with the real
No,
big
but that's the fun
story
of,
arc.
that's the fun of,
Yeah.
being the
You take a
DM and-
risk
yeah,
and it paid
pulling it
off.
off.
Like,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
I feel like I've read some Reddit threads about people like planning stuff, like when they're at an actual table and they've got like things that they open and they're like, they lead them to things that are like hidden in the backyard and stuff. And it's like, they may never get there, but you get them there. And then it's like this whole thing where it gets you off the table and it turns into a scavenger hunt. And it just adds
Yeah.
an extra level of immersion. So
So cool.
yeah.
My similar thing like that from MCM is the lag fight.
That's Mountain City, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You just take a chance. You like, I
Yeah.
got a crazy idea. I don't know
That
how
was
it's gonna
so
play.
interesting.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
And
And
if
and
you're
then
not on
just like
Patreon, it's not that deep into Mountain City Mayhem. I don't remember what
Yeah.
episode it was, but
5 or 6, I think. It was
no,
early.
No,
it was
no.
later than that because we
No.
went into the
we
mountain.
went
but-
into the mountain.
It was when you were hunting Illithil if
Dathoril.
Death Thrill.
do Florior.
Wait, so I want to know
Cumbria.
what John's
Yeah, what John's favorite?
What's John's moment?
So I've got two. I've got one as a D&D player and one as an actor.
Okay.
So as a D&D player, figuring out that I could use my wish spell to make Jesus of Waterdeep a simulacrum was
Mhm.
like that changed the whole thing.
Mhm.
Like we had just fought him, he got away, and then it was like, wait, I could create a simulacrum that could tell us exactly where he is, and so we could go get him like that. And then the anxiety that whole thing created because we were tired and we still decided we were like, oh crap, we're gonna go at like Tim did it so well. He was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Like it was that was just an incredible moment. I really like that was wild. And then as an actor, trying to figure out how to piece my character back together when he got all of his memories back from from all that time spent in the Gilbrain with Filnir and Abel that he didn't even remember. Like, first of all, I thought that was amazing storytelling. The fact that everybody's mind was wiped.
Better
and
than
then
Streetcar, better than Rent. Keep going. I got you. I got you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Absolutely. Better, just incredible storytelling. But the fact that their minds were wiped and that they had a campaign before this campaign that they didn't even remember, and then seeing all of that and then trying to be my character again and piecing all of it together, but like having all of that like just hit his brain all at once and have him just be completely insane was awesome for me. I just really enjoyed whether that came together or not. I really enjoyed doing that.
Well, that's a great question, Eamon. I thank you. I'm so glad. I hope you're still awake. I hope you're still awake.
While we've been talking here, like, I mean, I could talk about favorite moments for like another hour, at least. Like I've got such a long list of,
Well,
you
you
know.
can do we can do another live stream of Sam's
The
favorite moments.
eagle going up in Lakeshire.
The eagle going up Lakeshire, great.
Or Lake and Hunt,
Ionis's first phone call to his mom,
Awesome.
incredible. And like probably the first moment listening to it where like I actually got chills down my spine listening back to it. It was so good. Going into the Donatus's mountain, like incredible.
Yeah.
And then the whole like weird like three-way plot we had going on in there, delivering the rock baby and the and him fighting Ed, Paraso, and
Yeah.
that was incredible.
I feel like I should go back and listen to this campaign.
That one was that
So
was
good.
really some magical episodes in there. That whole up to the mountain and then over to Robert's gift. There were just so many good episodes in there.
Yeah. So I do have another question from Spencer Udelson, I think, which we've gotten before, but now that it's the end of the campaign, it still holds water. For
Same
each
answer.
For each of the dads, who was your favorite NPC throughout the whole campaign, and why was it James?
James. It's the James.
I mean, he was notorious.
He was really fun.
He was really fun. He was scary and threatening, and Tom had a great voice for him and a great presence, but he also did that proper villain monologue. Excuse me, sorry for the beeping. Good timing.
We don't hear it.
I hear it.
There's no way you don't hear it. But yeah, I mean, he was just a great character with his own, true wants. Again, the voice just made it, more fun, and his sort of intention of like talking things through. That's why it's a trope in the movies, but it's so good.
Yeah. He was
Yeah,
my favorite.
This is a hard question.
I have a tie between
Which part? The why is it James part?
Mine is actually not James. I have a tie. Actually, maybe I don't. My favorite NPC was Felipe Madamba.
Nice.
Because first of all, he was an idea.
We heard about him so much before we ever met him.
So much. Then we meet him, and he's this old decrepit character. Turns out it's not even him.
Yeah.
And then he pops. Yeah, and then he pops up. But when he pops up, we are now so far beyond where he was that he looks like he looks terrible. It's like, you're holding us back, Felipe. What are you doing? But like it was
dagger axes.
Yeah. he was an awesome character. I loved having him with us because he was actually really good for what he could do. But it just wasn't a whole lot that he could do. But he was great.
I also like that he was like a terrible general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was an okay ranger, but he was not good at leading people.
Mm-hmm.
Or tactics or strategy or any of the things that make someone a really
But he
good
thought
general.
But he thought he was. And it was really great earning his respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like through battle, and I feel like we earned his respect with that Jesus of Waterdeep battle where we created the simulacrum and then we brought him along and he was like, yo, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And yet we came out on top and he was like, okay, maybe these guys actually know what they're talking about.
I've got I think a less conventional answer. I'm going with Pawson.
Yeah. Pawson was fun.
As a character, he could have very easily been a one note, one joke character and sort of started out that way. But like, especially as he became more attached to Filnir and just sort of became, because Filnir was such a buttoned up character and Pawson could just be like the raging id, just feral, all about his bodily impulses, whatever they may be. And having the two of them bounce off each other, I thought was always fun.
I mean, you were gonna kill him,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, and you decide, and I remember the moment. Tim decided to have Filnir cast Charm Monster because he just got it on Level Up. And instead of something else which would have just instantaneously blown this like he was talking earlier about doing the smite, like if he'd have hit a smite on
Mhm.
Pawson at that moment instead of Charm Person or Charm Monster, done, it's over.
Yeah.
Like I think he had like 20 hit points left, 15 hit points left or something like that. So
And I will always and forever love Despo Good Shower.
yeah.
And that was my
Amazing.
tie. It was like between
Yeah.
Felipe and Despo. Despo, in my opinion, was our best NPC.
Mhm. That's like the objectively right answer.
Yeah. I mean, episode 1 to episode 110, Despo
Yeah.
Good Shower.
I still yell Good Shower, Spear Shower whenever
Yeah.
I throw something.
I mean, she was just, she had gone through so much, and she was just so tough and could hang with us at every point in the game.
Yeah.
And didn't just go along. You know, had
right.
her own agenda, own things, and was not real happy with us a lot of the time too. Yeah.
All right. So we're getting close to the end. We've been on for an hour. I have a couple of questions here from Gollum Market. Is it time for that, Tim?
Sure, it can be. Sorry, I'm printing my son's homework, which he can't find.
Oh.
This is real dungeon dad stuff. I'm doing
It's
dad
totally
stuff
real
in the
dungeon
middle
dad
of this.
stuff.
So keep it going, guys. Keep it going.
Because Tim is giving us hand signals as though we're
No,
not
I'm talking to other
like
people
in video live.
that you can't see behind the curtain. I am the man behind the curtain in this. I am running all of this, but I'm also trying to print stuff for my kid.
Let's see here. Oh, before we get to that, Todd Story wants to know about those demons coming up from down below that Bezalith was digging the light well for. Yeah, I mean,
It eats
not
you
the only
starting
one.
with your bottom. Yeah.
He's not the
Yeah.
only one that wants to know.
it's
They're
they're still a problem.
yeah.
They're still a problem that Filnir and Ionis are going to have to deal with. They're a big problem. They were here before Filnir was here, so that's the weird thing. This is like they're really serious. I think we ended the campaign because it felt right to end it. There's still shit they have to do, stuff they have to do.
Yeah, Eamon's watching that.
Eamon's still
Be
watching.
careful.
I'm sorry, Eamon. I'm sorry, Beth. I'm sorry, Akshay. All right. Dead Rogue asks, what realms do the crew hope to engage in through a tent in the Goblin Market? Goblin Market's coming up soon. One of the things is that these tents are these multiplanar like spaces.
Eamon says hi, by the way.
Oh, hi, Eamon.
Hello, Eamon.
In the YouTube chat.
And they are able to access lots of realms through the tents. So do you guys have places you want to go?
I mean, absolutely, the Gilbrain.
Yeah, you want to go back to Gilbrain?
Just
Might
for like,
happen.
even if it's a second.
See
just
what's
like,
happening.
Yeah,
Might
just see
happen.
what's happening. How, what's going on over there.
Any other weird places? I don't know. I mean,
nothing specific comes to my mind. I mean, I like the idea of the environments being able to be super different.
yeah.
It's a little bit Marvel or Star Wars of like every planet just has like a unique feel kind of thing.
This is the desert realm. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, it feels like a little bit less like you've got a continent that has 7 different climates on it, like in a video game where you're like, oh, you get to the north and there's the snow, and then you go east and there's this big desert you have to cross through, and there's an oasis. You know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, I think it'll be fun to touch on the Gilbrain. I don't think you should do it too soon. I think we should
No,
earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we just see where it goes.
I
I'm
agree
up
with
for
Tim.
everything. I was gonna say like a cool waterfall-y, like tropical thing, but like we're in the bathhouse. We've got the bathhouse. That might very well be that, right? A bathhouse
Right.
isn't all necessarily inside if it's in a tent and it's a whole other realm, right? It could be
Mhm.
hot springs attached to all of these things. It
Yeah.
could be a whole world.
Mhm.
And I think for me, it's less about, and you've got all the sort of the standard 5e, planes and we could go to the Feywild or whatever. But to me, more than the physical features, I'm interested in this essentially giving Tom free reign to come up with different ways different places work. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw the org chart he put together for the Goblin Market. Like, you know, it just like lets him off the leash in terms of, hey, this place works this way. Isn't that crazy? Okay, but we're only here for 2 episodes and then we're out and we're on to the next one.
Yeah.
So I think you've got a very broad palette here for all of your most interesting ideas.
Well, and I think
In this realm, the only spell is Skywrite.
yeah. Well, and I think there's going to be a little bit of that that's going to be at play, but I also think in my mind the Goblin Market
Mhm.
is the interesting place.
Yeah.
And so coming back there is going to be the bigger part of the story.
And having to figure out a new world, every couple of episodes can really like put the brakes on things.
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
on like narrative momentum.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm imagining, and who knows what twists and turns this will take, but I'm imagining that like someone is already telling you what's going on in this world, and
Mhm.
you got to go and do this thing for this one person in this castle, and all the background stuff is going to be flavor and interesting, but you're not going to be able to go there and savor it as much as as unlocking the mysteries of the actual Goblin Market will
Man,
do.
I've had a job I had to travel for before. It's
Yeah.
not as glamorous as it's.
Yeah. Eventually, every place feels like Topeka.
Mhm.
And I like Topeka.
Topeka, what?
If we hadn't already
Yeah.
named this bonus episode, I think we would have just found the title.
Yeah. What is the crew going to do to avoid assault in the baths? Pun not intended, but
Come on
terrific.
now.
Extra
We
towels.
covered this. Watch
Yeah.
Extra
Eastern
towels.
Promises.
This is
You know.
also from Dead Rogue. I should have said this before. Also, what is the best approach for a meeting held in a hot tub? I think that last part is for Sam.
Yeah, Sam, what's the trick?
The trick is not letting anyone know you're conducting the meeting from the hot tub.
So jets off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jets off.
Yeah.
And really for meetings that you got to do a lot of listening and not a lot of talking.
Right.
You know.
You can the
But-
ones where you can turn your video off.
I was gonna say video off.
No, we have a video off culture at my course.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so then why do you even use Zoom, or do you just use the
Just on a
the
conference
phones?
call.
Right.
So you just use phones.
We use Teams, Microsoft Teams, if you want to get specific about it.
Hey now.
Is this the high quality content people have come to this live stream for? We use Teams for a variety of
Coming to
reasons.
you live on LinkedIn now. All right. The last one about Goblin Market
Reddit Live.
from Clerk Berserker. Any plans to release the details of this class anytime? Ultimately, you guys should just release some supplemental books, but I'd settle for bits and pieces. It's very
Well,
sweet.
now first I will just say, and have we released? When's the bonus character creation coming out?
We have not put it out yet.
We haven't put it out yet?
recorded it.
Saying class might be overstating a little bit.
Yeah,
It's less full-fledged classes and more rules for making these particular characters. They're not like full-fledged D&D classes
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
because the
Now-
combined character is playing as a traditional D&D class.
That's right.
And so each of these others are essentially playing like almost like a half of a class or just
Yeah.
a NPC plus.
Yeah. And people don't know really, some people who are listening don't have any idea what any of this is yet.
Mhm.
I'll just say this. The characters are going to be taking minute control over beefcakes like pieces of meat that are basically like empty vessels to be piloted.
Hans and Franz.
Yeah. So we've been using the term pilot for what these folks are doing. That's probably going to stick because it seems to be a really good approximation of this.
Mhm.
You know, they're basically fighter pilots. They're basically fighter pilots, and they are, I'm using quotes because you can see it. They're flying the bodies of that are better specimen than them, and the class is able to do things like cast spells at a distance through these vessels. And so yes, I will release at some point, probably after a couple of episodes of the Goblin Market, at
You
least
gotta
what I
type them
gave
up
the guy.
nice.
Yeah, we'll type them in nicely. It is a bit like Ender's Game. That was a YouTube
Yeah.
comment that just came up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, a bit like Ender's Game, except these guys know that they're actually flying, in the big war.
And no, I don't think any of us made children.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
important
No,
distinction.
Yeah.
Some of you look like children.
Some of you act like children.
Yeah.
And as far
Um,
as the bats are concerned, it's the bats. You don't defend yourself in a sauna. You just go in and hang out. That's just where
Yeah.
we're meeting. Who knows
Yeah.
what's
Listen,
gonna
man,
happen?
if a fight breaks out, a fight breaks out. You
That's
don't
just
get to
what
choose
happens.
where it happens.
Eventually, a fight will break out in the baths.
Yeah.
I feel certain of it.
Yeah.
Start
Um,
snapping those towels, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not making any promises to these guys about surviving
You never do.
the way I
The way you
did
once.
in Everywhere Must End. But I will tell you this. The Goblin Market certainly will not run red with blood while you're very low level.
No, you got to save the big story points like that till we're.
That's
Till
yeah,
we've got
like,
some episodes in the can.
that's right. That's right. Like
If you
you're
start
not
with
gonna
that, this
have,
campaign is going a very different direction. Than
yeah,
I
you're
think
not
it
gonna
is.
have an all-out assault on the baths like in episode 3 or 4. Maybe
We
5.
gotta start. We
Maybe.
gotta feel not until we feel real comfortable there.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Right.
That's right. Oh man. Well,
You guys have any other quick Every War Must End questions? I know we moved over to Goblin Market, so maybe it's just time to say toodaloo. But
I've got a quick one for Tim.
okay.
Right before we cut it off here. How do you suppose Filnir's famous cream puff recipe would have changed after all this?
Ooh. Let's see. What was it? It was it purple lingonberries? Is that
Yeah.
Is that what we said
You
it
got
was?
this is what Sam looks like a lot while we're recording, by the way.
Yeah.
You're missing it.
I take great pleasure in these things, and I also take great pleasure in the fact that, although John said it was going to be a quick question, I knew it wasn't going to be a quick answer.
Can't be a quick answer.
I mean, I don't know that it would have changed that much, except now that he's the god, he doesn't actually have to bake them, so he can just boop.
I like it.
Tom and I did that in sync. It almost seemed like
Yeah. Wait, but here's the question. Do you think he actually would like mana them into existence? Like, I kind of feel like
no, the baking was part of the ritual. Was
he's
part
the
of it.
kind of
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
he's gonna do the baking. Now he might
Yeah.
mana into existence a
That-
brick oven stove
Right,
and
right.
the wood to burn it.
Yeah, and maybe
And
having to mill the
does he go
flour
out and
himself.
pick his own lingonberries? Yeah.
No, he
the
makes the
ingredients will
lingonberries
show
appear.
up. He'll just zap over the sous chef work, the prep work, and it'll just be-
Substantiate it.
yeah.
So it's the process that changes, not the recipe.
Yes, I think it simplifies a little bit. There's a couple of YouTube questions. They're quick, so I think I can just
He's certainly not cleaning any of it up.
no,
Right.
no, that part just
Only the fun parts of cooking.
right. Todd Story on YouTube chat asked if
What's
the
up, Todd?
Githyanki and the gold houses ever got wrapped up. They did not. The
They did not.
Githyanki are still in in Lakeshire.
In Lakeshire.
We did tell Despo to worry about them and figure them out, but we never had time to follow up and see what properly happened. And then that town, I presumably, is still slowly sinking under the weight of the golden walls of its houses.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking about that thing.
Yeah,
I was
and then you
like-
destroyed my wand. Ionis was going to handle that. He was going to turn it all into money and then get Griggly to put the real houses back.
Yep. New song, new merch. Yes and yes,
I
just
like
not
money.
yet. We'll get it to you shortly.
Yeah.
And then I think this is a good one to go out on.
Wait a second.
What?
I just want to add one other comment there,
Yeah.
which is I was very skeptical about a new theme song. I'd grown attached to the existing theme song. It's a banger. It always gets me hyped before an episode because usually Tom will play it introing into the episode. New one's a banger, man. I
so
love
good.
it. It's,
It's
so,
so
good.
good.
John's been working on it.
I think
Working.
you guys are gonna really like it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it fits. It
It's a
fits the
different vibe.
tone.
It's a
a
different
totally
vibe.
different vibe from the first one, but it fits what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. This last one, funniest moment of the campaign. I'm gonna say the Manscaped ad, just because Sam's wearing the shirt, and it's really. You heard it during that month that we were advertising for them, but you really didn't hear it unless you're a patron, and then you got the bonus episode of us, and we released what we did.
We released a 30-minute episode of us trying to record a 30-second ad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tangential,
Yeah.
but it's that's like it makes your belly hurt laughing.
I'm giggling just thinking of that.
There's been some other moments that definitely got us. Like I can't pull them off the top of my head, but that one every time.
We laugh a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that does not change when just because we're recording. We laugh when we're together, which is not nearly enough, but when we are together, we laugh pretty much the whole time. And I think most of our listeners know I don't drink hardly at all. And at all.
If you
at
listen
all.
to the Philadelphia episodes, you know.
Yeah. And so stuff is not a part of it, or not stuff. What do you call
Mhm.
that? Substance is not a part of it at all. It is just, we laugh a lot. So I think these guys are so funny. Like, I was dying at something that John said during an episode, and I could have swore he said it, and then he did not actually say it. That's the kind of thing that happens though. So I mean,
I will tell you, I'm not gonna say this is the funniest moment of the whole campaign, but it's one that still makes me laugh. I think I've talked about it before. Is when Phil Neer's trying to explain his relationship with Paraso. They're like, why was it Galwinia who was like, what's with this sword, or why are you beholden to this thing? Phil Neer's like, it's hard to explain. He saved my life. I guess you had to be there.
We just start cracking up.
It's the delivery that makes it. I didn't do it justice, but it was that was really good. And then I just laugh anytime I got to be a real dick with Schnobik, and then you guys would you just start laughing and go, he's such an asshole.
it was really such
That
an
always
asshole.
felt good to me. Yeah.
I was so delighted, but the throw off line about Jesus of the Orc Wars.
And
then-
when he showed up as a character, Yeah.
I was laughing at my own jokes that day a lot. So-
I thought it was funny in combat, like trying to actually see things from your character's perspective.
Mhm.
and how Ionis throws acid on these guys and they vanish and then they come back and they're dead.
That was a good
so
one.
and I'm
good.
like,
Yeah.
they're
That's a
vulnerable
really
to
good
acid damage. When
That was a
actually
good recent
Schnobik,
one.
That was great.
Schnobik had just stabbed the mess out of all
Yeah,
of
that
them.
was awesome.
But the character wouldn't know it at all. Like that stuff really kills me.
Yeah, that was good.
It's funny because we're all really funny people, but we don't make a really funny podcast.
No.
Like there's stuff to laugh at, but that's not what we're really
No,
like. That's not really what we doing.
no,
I
it's
guess.
Oh,
not.
I
It's
feel
not
like
a
I
comedian's
talked about
D&D
this.
campaign.
Yeah.
I think I talked about this last time we had a Q&A, but like, yeah, that
Tundick.
Chris Rock,
Tundick. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
Tundick, Chris Rock had that bit about like everybody thinks they can be a comedian, and they're like, I'm funny, and they're living room funny. They're not stand up on a stage in front of people funny.
Yeah.
And I heard that, and I was like, ooh, I bet that's true, and instantly knew I was living room funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I feel like this is a medium that rewards living room funny.
I think that's right.
And that's kind of the vibe we go for.
Yeah.
Because hopefully it's obvious by now after consuming 200 plus hours of our content. You have, but like when you listen to the show, it really is what it's like hanging out with us.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like that's,
Yeah.
it's not,
especially the Manscaped episode,
especially that's good. Yeah.
or anytime we try to do
it's-
movie dads.
Oh.
You're getting us more or less unfiltered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, guys,
thanks for coming, everybody.
I
And
know.
more to come.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I just want to say, like, we have a new sign off on our new campaign.
Ooh.
We're not doing that tonight. This is the last episode of everyone must in. This is it. This
Yeah.
is it. No more. No more. It's my last toodaloo, people. Toodaloo, everybody.
Toodaloo.
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 All right, where's the end button? Oh wait, no, I have something else. Hold on.
Wait, how do we hang up?
We're off. No, we're done. We're done. My local broke in the middle because my mic disconnected, but it's fine. I've got the fives and scribes playing right now.
Gotta get those 5 subscribes. Gotta get those 5 subscribes.
Probably not. Let me check with my
Gotta get those 5 subscribes.
We've had a crazy week, so